The afternoon light rested softly on the quiet street. Not bright. Not dramatic. Just warm enough to feel safe. It was the kind of day that didn't ask for attention. A school bus hissed in the distance. Somewhere, a lawn sprinkler clicked on. Wind moved gently through the trees, brushing leaves together like a quiet conversation. Inside the house, the ceiling fan turned in slow, lazy circles, pushing warm air from one corner of the room to the other. The front door opened with a familiar creak. Ethan stepped inside. His backpack slipped from one shoulder and landed gently against the wall. He didn't rush. Didn't call out. Instead, he stood still for a moment. Cradled against his chest was something small. Something warm. A puppy. Not the kind you see in pet store windows. No shiny collar. No perfect fur. This one had slightly dusty paws, soft brown and white fur that didn't quite lie flat, and eyes that felt deeper than they should have been. Ethan adjusted his grip carefully. "Hey, it's okay," he whispered. His voice was low. Protective. The puppy didn't squirm. Didn't whine. It simply lifted its head. Its eyes moved slowly across the room, as if the space already meant something to it. The couch. The window. The hallway. Then it paused. The boy noticed. The puppy's ears tilted slightly forward. Its body relaxed, but its attention sharpened. Focused. Like it was listening to something Ethan couldn't hear. Ethan swallowed. "I know. I know. Dad's home soon," he murmured. "Just trust me, okay?" He closed the door quietly behind him. The house smelled faintly of coffee, and something warm baking earlier that morning. Normal. Safe. Ethan knelt and gently lowered the puppy onto the rug. The pup's paws touched the floor. And instead of exploring, instead of sniffing or patting around, it sat. Still. Right in the middle of the room. Its tail rested calmly beside its body. Its back straight. Its gaze steady. The hallway stretched ahead, darker than the rest of the house, leading toward the bedrooms. The puppy stared straight at it. Ethan frowned slightly. "That's weird," he whispered. He waited. Nothing changed. The pup didn't move. Didn't blink much either. Just watched. Ethan reached out and rested a hand on the puppy's back. Warm. Steady. The puppy leaned slightly into his touch, but never took its eyes off the hallway. A car door closed outside. Ethan's heart skipped. "That's Dad," he said softly. The puppy's ears lifted again. Not in alarm. In recognition. Footsteps approached the front door. Keys jingled. The door opened. "Hey, Bud," his father's voice started casually, distracted, mid-thought. Then silence. Ethan looked up. His father stood frozen just inside the doorway. One hand still on the door handle. The other holding his keys. His face had gone pale. Not scared. Not angry. Just empty. As if something had reached inside him and taken the air out of his lungs. The puppy slowly turned its head. Its eyes met the man's. The room felt suddenly smaller. The ceiling fan continued its quiet rotation, but everything else seemed to stop. Ethan stood. "Dad?" His voice cracked just a little. The man didn't answer. His eyes were locked on the puppy. Something flickered there, confusion, memory, pain, and something softer underneath. He took one slow step forward, then stopped himself. His breath was shallow. "That dog," he said quietly. Almost to himself. The puppy didn't move. didn't flinch. It simply held the man's gaze. Like it knew him. Like it had been waiting. Ethan's chest tightened. I found him near the old bus stop, he said quickly. He was alone. I checked everywhere. No collar. No one around. His father finally blinked. Once. Then again. How long have you had him? He asked. His voice sounded different now. Lower. Unsteady. Just today, Ethan replied. I swear. I wasn't planning to, I just. The man raised a hand gently. Ethan, a pause. Did he come inside on his own? Ethan hesitated. No, he said. I carried him. The puppy tilted its head. Just slightly. The father exhaled slowly, like he'd been holding that breath for years. He knelt down. Careful. Measured. The puppy didn't retreat. Didn't advance either. It stayed where it was. Grounded. The man reached out a trembling hand, then stopped inches away. His fingers curled. I've seen those eyes before, he whispered. Ethan felt a chill, not of fear, but of meaning. What do you mean? He asked. The man swallowed. I don't know, he said honestly. But this, he shook his head slightly. This doesn't feel like an accident. The puppy leaned forward. Just a little. Enough to close the distance. Its nose brushed the man's knuckles. The contact was gentle. Intentional. The man's breath caught. His shoulders sagged. And for the first time, Ethan saw tears gathering in his father's eyes. The puppy sat back again. Still calm. Still watching. Still certain. Outside, the afternoon sun slipped lower, casting longer shadows across the living room floor. Nothing had happened. And yet, everything had begun. Because in that quiet space between a man and a stray pup, something unseen had awakened. Something unfinished. Something that had been waiting to be found again. The house didn't return to normal after that. Not right away. The front door closed softly behind Ethan's father. But the silence stayed. It lingered in the corners of the room. Between the couch and the hallway. Inside the shallow space between breaths. The puppy sat exactly where it had been. Still. Centered. Its eyes followed the man as he stood slowly. As if sudden movements might break something fragile. Ethan watched them both. The way his father avoided sudden motion. The way the puppy never looked away. Does he have a name? His father asked quietly. Ethan shook his head. I didn't want to name him yet, he said. Not until I knew. Knew what? The man asked. Ethan shrugged. I don't know. Just knew. The puppy's tail gave a small, slow thump against the rug. Once. Then it stopped. The man exhaled through his nose. A sound somewhere between a laugh and a sigh. Well, he said softly. He picked a calm house to walk into. I carried him, Ethan reminded gently. His father nodded. Yes, he said. But still. The man stepped toward the kitchen. Then paused. The puppy's head turned with him. Not sharp. Not startled. Just connected. I'm going to get some water, the man said. As if explaining himself to the dog. The puppy didn't move. But when the man returned, the puppy's eyes met his again. Waiting. Ethan sat down on the couch. His heart was beating faster now. Not from fear. From curiosity. He had expected questions. Rules. Consequences. Instead, his father moved through the kitchen like someone visiting a memory. Opening cabinets slowly. Setting a bowl down gently. He filled it with water. Then placed it on the floor a few feet away. The puppy glanced at it. Then back at the man. The man smiled faintly. "It's okay," he said. "You can drink." The puppy stood. The movement was smooth. Careful. It walked to the bowl. Lowered its head. And drank quietly. Not rushed. Not desperate. Ethan leaned forward. "He wasn't like starving or anything when I found him," he said. "Just sitting there. Watching cars go by." The man nodded. "That's how it starts sometimes," he murmured. Ethan frowned. "How it starts?" The man didn't answer right away. The puppy finished drinking and sat again. This time closer to the man's feet. Not touching. Just near. The man crouched slowly. His voice dropped. "When I was younger," he began, "I had a dog who used to sit like that." Ethan's breath caught. "You never told me that." The man smiled sadly. "I didn't think it mattered anymore." The puppy's ears tilted forward. The man noticed. "Funny," he whispered. "He used to do that too." Ethan's chest felt tight. "What happened to him?" he asked. The man swallowed. "He got lost," he said. "One day, he just didn't come back." The room went quiet again. The puppy shifted its weight slightly. Then placed one paw forward. A small movement. But deliberate. The man stared at it. "No," he said softly. "That's not." He stopped himself. Ethan watched closely. "Dad?" The man shook his head. "It's silly," he said. "Just a coincidence." But his voice didn't believe it. The puppy lifted its head. Its eyes were calm. Deep. Steady. Not demanding. Not pleading. Just present. The man reached out. This time, he didn't stop. His hand rested gently on the puppy's head. Warm fur. Steady heartbeat. The puppy leaned into the touch. Just enough. The man closed his eyes. For a moment. He wasn't in the living room anymore. Ethan could see it on his face. Something opening. Something remembering. When the man opened his eyes again, they were wet. "I don't know why this feels so familiar," he said. "But it does." The puppy blinked slowly. Then, it stood. It turned toward the hallway again. Paused. Looked back at the man. Then toward the hallway once more. Ethan's stomach fluttered. "It's like he wants us to follow him," he whispered. The man hesitated. The hallway was dark, not threatening. Just quiet. Ordinary. Still. Something pulled at him. The puppy waited. Patient. Finally. The man nodded. "All right," he said softly. "Show us." The puppy walked forward. Slow steps. Measured pace. Ethan stood and followed. The man followed behind him. The puppy led them down the hallway. Past framed photos. Past closed doors. Until it stopped. Right in front of one door. The man froze. His hand trembled slightly. "That room," he whispered. Ethan looked up at him. "What about it?" The man swallowed hard. "I haven't been in there in years." The puppy sat. Right in front of the door. And waited. Ethan felt his chest tighten. "Dad," he said gently. "What's in there?" The man stared at the door. At the handle. At the place where memories slept. "I used to keep my dog's things in there," he said. After he disappeared, the puppy tilted its head. The man's breath caught. "No," he whispered again. "That's not possible." The puppy didn't move. It didn't push. It didn't scratch. It just stayed. Like it knew. This door would open when the time was right. The man reached for the handle. Stopped. Then, slowly, he opened the door. Dust danced in the sunlight from the window inside. The room smelled like cardboard. And time. A box sat in the corner. The man stepped inside. The puppy followed. Ethan stood in the doorway, heart pounding. The man knelt by the box. Opened it. Inside, an old collar. Faded. Worn. The man lifted it with shaking hands. The puppy leaned forward. Its nose touched the collar. The man gasped. Tears fell freely now. "That's..." His voice broke. "That's his." The puppy sat beside him. Quiet. Steady. Present. Ethan felt tears sting his own eyes. He didn't understand everything yet. But he understood this. The puppy wasn't here by accident. And whatever it carried in its still eyes was leading them somewhere important. Somewhere unfinished. Somewhere that had been waiting. A very long time. The box stayed open on the floor. Dust clung to the edges of old memories. Thin and quiet. Like they'd been waiting to be touched again. Ethan stood in the doorway. He didn't step in. Didn't step away. The room felt different now. Heavier, but not in a bad way. The puppy sat beside his father, close enough that their shoulders almost touched. Almost. The collar rested in the man's hands. He turned it slowly, running his thumb over the worn leather, over the faint scratches near the buckle. "I used to tell myself I threw this away," he said quietly. After a while, it hurt less to believe that. His voice wasn't breaking. It was steady. But thin. Like ice over deep water. Ethan took a step closer. The puppy's head lifted slightly, acknowledging him, then settled again. The man exhaled. "You know," he said, "I never talked about him because I didn't want to make him real again." Ethan swallowed. "What was his name?" The man paused. The room seemed to lean in. "Ranger," he said softly. The puppy's ears flicked. "Just once." The man noticed. His breath caught. But he didn't say anything. "Not yet." "I was younger than you are now," he continued. "Didn't have much. But I had him." He smiled faintly. "He used to sit just like this," he said, glancing at the puppy. Like he was listening to something important. The puppy leaned its weight gently against the man's leg. Not sudden. Not demanding. Just there. The man closed his eyes. For a moment. He let himself lean back. Ethan saw it then. The shift. His father's shoulders relaxed. Not in relief. But in permission. Permission to feel. "I searched for him for weeks," the man said. "Every street. Every shelter. I even left food out at night, thinking maybe he'd smell it." His voice softened. "But one night, I stopped." Ethan frowned. "Why?" The man opened his eyes. "Because I was tired," he said honestly. "And because part of me was scared that if I didn't find him..." He didn't finish. He didn't need to. The puppy lifted its head. Its gaze moved slowly up, meeting the man's eyes again. Steady. Understanding. "I told myself he found a better place," the man said. "A better owner. A better life." The puppy blinked slowly. The man let out a breath. But I never stopped looking, he whispered. Not really. Ethan's chest tightened. He knelt beside them now. I didn't know, he said softly. The man smiled at him. That's okay, he replied. Some stories take a long time to surface. The puppy shifted. Then, very carefully, it placed one paw on the man's knee. The contact was light. Intentional. The man froze. His eyes widened. His breath stilled. The puppy didn't pull away. Didn't press harder. Just rested there. The man laughed quietly through a breath. You used to do that, he whispered. Whenever I got quiet. Ethan's heart raced. Dad, he said. That's not normal, right? The man shook his head slowly. No, he said. It's not. The puppy lowered its paw again. Then sat back. As if its job was done. The man wiped his eyes. He stood slowly, holding the collar now with care. Like it mattered again. I don't know what this means, he said. But something's changing. Ethan nodded. I feel it too. They left the room together. The door stayed open this time. The puppy walked between them. When they returned to the living room, the light had shifted. Later afternoon now. Longer shadows. The puppy climbed onto the rug. Turned once. And lay down. Its eyes stayed open. Watching. The man sat on the couch. Not rigid. Not tense. Just thoughtful. Ethan sat beside him. You're not mad? Ethan asked quietly. The man smiled gently. No, he said. I think I needed this. He looked at the puppy again. At those still eyes. I think we both did. The puppy's tail moved once. Slow. Content. Outside. The world continued like nothing had changed. But inside that house, a door had opened. And once opened, some things don't close again. That evening arrived gently. No dramatic sunset. No sudden shift. Just a slow dimming of light. As the house settled into itself. The puppy hadn't moved much. It stayed near the center of the living room. Close enough to feel included. Far enough to feel respectful. Ethan noticed everything now. The way the puppy lifted its head when his father shifted in his seat. The way its ears tuned toward him when he spoke. The way its eyes softened when the room grew quiet. Dinner was simple. Plates clinked softly. Forks scraped gently. No one rushed. So, Ethan finally said, "What happens now?" His father paused mid-bite. He thought for a moment. "I don't know," he said honestly. "But I don't think this is a what happens now kind of situation." Ethan smiled faintly. The puppy rested its chin on its paws. Watching. After dinner, Ethan cleared the table. His father stood at the sink, washing dishes slowly. As if each movement needed space. The puppy followed him there. Not underfoot. Not begging. Just nearby. "You don't usually like dogs in the kitchen," Ethan said. His father nodded. "I know." The puppy sat. Still. His father glanced down. Then back to the sink. He didn't tell it to move. Later, they sat together on the couch. The television was on. But muted. Light flickered across the walls without sound. Ethan leaned back. The puppy lay on the rug. Facing them both. Its eyes closed briefly. Then opened again. Like it didn't want to miss anything. Ethan turned to his father. "You really think he's connected to Ranger?" The question hung there. His father didn't answer right away. He began slowly. I think some things leave impressions. Ethan frowned. Like footprints? His father smiled. Something like that? The puppy's tail gave a soft thump. Once. Ethan noticed. So you think he remembers? Ethan asked. Or feels it? His father shook his head. I don't know if dogs remember the way we do, he said. But I think they recognize meaning. The puppy lifted its head. Eyes steady. Meaning. The room grew quiet again. Later that night, Ethan lay in bed. The door was open. Light from the hallway spilled across the floor. He heard soft footsteps. Then, a pause. The puppy appeared in the doorway. It didn't come in. It sat. Ethan whispered, "Hey!" The puppy's ears tilted. Ethan sat up slightly. You checking on me? The puppy stayed still, watching. After a moment, it turned its head toward the hallway. Then back to Ethan, as if asking a question. Ethan's heart beat faster. Dad, he whispered. Footsteps approached. His father appeared beside the puppy. You okay? He asked. Ethan nodded. I think he was making sure. His father smiled quietly. The puppy stood, walked away, and lay down in the hallway, right between their doors, like a quiet guardian. The lights dimmed. The house slept. But something stayed awake. Not alert. Not anxious. Just aware. In the quiet, questions floated gently. Unanswered. Unrushed. And for the first time in a long while, that felt okay. Morning came quietly. Light crept through the curtains in thin gold lines, stretching across the living room floor. The puppy was already awake. Not restless. Not pacing. Just sitting, watching the house breathe. Ethan shuffled out of his room, hair messy, eyes half open. He stopped when he saw the puppy. You didn't move all night, did you? He whispered. The puppy's tail moved once. Ethan smiled. His father stepped out a moment later. Coffee already in hand. He paused when he saw where the puppy was sitting. Still in the hallway. Still centered. Like it had chosen that place for a reason. You okay there, buddy? The man asked softly. The puppy stood. It walked toward the front door. Stopped. Looked back. Ethan and his father exchanged a glance. You thinking what I'm thinking? Ethan asked. His father hesitated. Then nodded. I think he wants to go somewhere. The puppy waited. Patient. They grabbed jackets. No rush. No plan. The front door opened. Morning air rolled in, cool, fresh. The puppy stepped outside. Then paused again. Waiting. The man locked the door. All right, he said. Lead the way. The puppy walked down the sidewalk. Not pulling. Not darting. Just steady. Ethan followed close. His father stayed just behind them. The neighborhood was waking up. Birds calling. Cars starting. The puppy turned at the corner. Ethan's heart beat faster. Isn't this, he began. Yes, his father said quietly. The old bus stop. The puppy stopped. Saturday. Right where Ethan had found him. The man stared. This is where Ranger disappeared, he whispered. The puppy looked up at him. Its eyes were calm. Certain. The man knelt slowly. That can't be coincidence, he said. The puppy stood. Walked a few steps forward. then looked back again. Ethan felt it. That gentle pull. Not urgency. Not fear. Just direction. They followed. Past the bus stop. Down a side path. Toward a small patch of trees. The puppy slowed. Ethan's father's breathing changed. "I used to walk him here," he said. "When I needed to think." The puppy stopped near an old tree. Its bark was scarred with time. The puppy sat. Ethan's father knelt. His hand touched the trunk. "I carved his name here," he whispered. Faded letters. Barely visible. Ranger. The man closed his eyes. The puppy leaned into his side. Warm. Present. Ethan felt tears slide down his face. "He's showing you," Ethan said softly. The man nodded. "I know." They stayed there a long time. No words. Just breath. Just memory. Just a quiet sense of something coming full circle. When they finally turned back, the puppy led them home again. Not rushing. Not looking back. Like its work wasn't finished yet. But it was close. The walk back home felt different. Not lighter. Not heavier. Just fuller. The puppy moved at the same calm pace. But now, its steps felt certain. As if it knew the way without needing to think about it. Ethan watched his father as they walked. The man's shoulders were no longer tense. His gaze drifted, not lost, but inward. Remembering. "I used to sit right there," his father said suddenly, nodding toward a low concrete wall near the sidewalk. "Ranger would climb up beside me, like he was keeping watch." The puppy paused. Looked at the wall. Then sat. Right beside it. Ethan stopped breathing for a second. His father stared. "No," he whispered. That's exactly where." The puppy didn't react. It didn't celebrate the moment. It didn't seek praise. It simply stayed. The man sat down slowly. The concrete was cool beneath him. The puppy leaned lightly against his leg. Ethan stood nearby. Hands tucked into his sleeves. Heart full. "I used to talk to him," the man continued. "Out loud. About things I didn't know how to say to people." The puppy lifted its head slightly. "Listening." The man smiled faintly. "He never interrupted," he said. "He just listened." The memory softened his voice. "I think I forgot how much I needed that." The puppy shifted, then rested its chin gently on the man's knee. The contact was quiet. Intentional. The man inhaled sharply, then slowly exhaled. "I missed you," he whispered. Not to the puppy in front of him, but to the memory standing behind it. Ethan's eyes burned. He turned away for a moment, giving the space the respect it deserved. When they finally stood again, the man seemed taller somehow. Not stronger. More open. Back at the house, the afternoon drifted into evening. Warm light stretched across the floor once more. The puppy explored a little now. Not curious in a playful way. Curious in a careful way. It stopped at the photo shelf. Saturday. Ethan followed its gaze. A framed picture. His father, younger, standing beside a teenage version of himself. And Ranger. Ethan picked up the frame. "You kept this," he said. His father nodded. "I never meant to stop looking," he replied. "I just didn't know how." The puppy stepped closer. Its nose hovered near the glass. The man's hand trembled. "I used to think closure meant forgetting," he said. "But maybe." He paused. "Maybe it means remembering without pain." The puppy lay down at his feet. Comfortable. Home. That night, his father didn't close the bedroom door. Neither did Ethan. The puppy slept in the hallway again. Not guarding. Not watching. Just resting. As if it trusted the house now. As if it trusted them. And as the lights dimmed, old memories settled gently into new places. Not gone. Not heavy. Just understood. The next morning felt quieter than the others. Not empty. Settled. Light filtered through the curtains in a pale wash. Cooler than the day before. Gentler somehow. The puppy sat near the window, watching the street. Not alert. Not waiting. Just aware. Ethan noticed his father standing behind it. Hands in his pockets. Eyes thoughtful. "You know," his father said slowly, "I don't think he's here to replace Ranger." Ethan looked up. The puppy turned its head slightly, as if listening. "I think he's here to remind me," the man continued, "of who I was, before I stopped believing things could come back." Ethan swallowed. "That's kind of big," he said quietly. His father smiled. "Yeah," he replied. "It is." The puppy stood, walked toward the hallway, stopped, looked back at them. Ethan's heart gave a small, familiar flutter. "He's doing it again," Ethan whispered. His father nodded. This time, there was no hesitation. They followed. The puppy led them into the spare room once more. Sunlight poured in through the window. Brighter now, cutting through the dust that still lingered in the air. The box was still there. Open. The puppy walked straight to it, placed its nose gently inside, then stepped back. Waiting. The man knelt. Slowly, reverently, he reached into the box, past the collar, past old folded blankets, and found something he hadn't seen before. A small tag. Not attached to anything. Just resting there. He picked it up, turned it over. His breath caught. On the back, scratched faintly into the metal, was a date. The day Ranger disappeared. The man closed his eyes. "I remember this," he whispered. "I took it off that morning, told myself I'd clean it later." His voice trembled. "But I never did." The puppy sat, eyes steady, present. "He didn't leave," the man said suddenly. His voice was firm now, clear. "He was taken." Ethan's chest tightened. Not with fear, with understanding. "I found out later," the man continued. "Someone nearby had been picking up strays, claiming to help, then moving them on." He swallowed. "I didn't know where Ranger went. And by the time I did..." He shook his head. It was too late. The puppy leaned forward, rested its head against the man's knee. The man placed his hand gently on its back. "I spent years blaming myself," he said, "for stopping the search. For letting go." He exhaled slowly. "But maybe Ranger didn't need me to keep looking." Ethan frowned slightly. "What do you mean?" The man looked at the puppy. At those still, knowing eyes. "Maybe he just needed me to remember him with love, instead of regret." The puppy's tail moved. Once. Soft. The man smiled through tears. "You didn't come to bring him back," he whispered to the dog. "You came to bring him home, here." He tapped his chest lightly. The puppy leaned in. Contact. Warm. Complete. Ethan felt it then. The shift. Not a mystery solving itself, but a truth settling into place. The puppy wasn't Ranger, but it carried something Ranger had left behind. Trust. Connection. A reminder that love doesn't disappear. It just changes shape. The man stood. He wiped his eyes. Then he laughed quietly. A real laugh. "We should name him," he said. Ethan smiled. "Yeah," he replied. "I think he's been waiting for that." The puppy tilted its head. As if listening. As if ready. And in that moment, the truth was clear. Not in words. Not in explanations. But in the eyes of a dog who knew exactly why it was here. The name didn't arrive all at once. It hovered. Like something waiting for the right breath. The right quiet. The puppy lay stretched out on the living room rug that afternoon. Sunlight warming the gentle rise of his back. Each breath slow, steady, unafraid. The room felt different now. Not rearranged. Not changed. Settled. Ethan sat cross-legged on the floor nearby. A small pile of old photographs spread out in front of him. They weren't organized. They didn't need to be. Moments didn't ask for order. Only space. His fingers paused over one picture. His father, much younger. Standing beside a lean, proud dog with bright, watchful eyes. Ranger. Ethan glanced up. His father sat on the couch, elbows resting on his knees. Hands loosely folded. Watching the puppy breathe. Not studying him. Just being with him. "You kept all of these," Ethan said softly. His father nodded. "I didn't know why," he replied. "Back then, I thought it was because I couldn't let go." A pause. "Now I think it's because I didn't want to forget how it felt. To be known like that." The puppy shifted slightly. One ear twitched. "Nothing more." The man smiled faintly. "He did that too," he murmured. Whenever the room got quiet. Ethan placed the photo down. "Do you think he understands?" he asked. His father considered the question carefully. "I don't think dogs understand stories," he said. "But I think they understand truth." The puppy opened one eye. Looked at them. Then closed it again. Truth settled easily here. Later, as afternoon drifted toward evening, the light softened. Less golden now. More honeyed. Stretching longer across the floor. The puppy rose. Not suddenly. Not with purpose that felt urgent. Just ready. He walked to the window and sat. Watching the street. Cars passed. A jogger moved by. A child laughed somewhere down the block. The puppy didn't follow any one thing. He simply observed. Ethan stood and joined him. "You're really calm," he whispered. The puppy glanced back. Still eyes. Still knowing. Ethan felt something loosen in his chest. The man rose from the couch and joined them. For a moment, the three of them stood together, watching life pass by without needing to join it. "Let's go outside," the man said quietly. No announcement. No excitement. Just an idea. They stepped out into the yard together. The air was cooler now. The sky stretched wide overhead. Soft blues fading into pale gold. The puppy walked between them. No leash. No hesitation. Trust moved with him. Like muscle memory. They stopped near the fence. The man inhaled slowly. Deep. As if he hadn't done that in years. "I used to think healing meant fixing something," he said. "Like there was a version of the past I could repair, if I just thought hard enough." Ethan listened. The puppy sat. "Healing felt like work," the man continued. "Like effort. Like failure if I didn't get it right." He looked down at the puppy. "But this..." A pause. "This feels like permission." The puppy's tail moved. Once. Soft. I don't feel like I lost Ranger anymore, the man said. I feel like... I carried him forward. Ethan swallowed. I think he helped, he said quietly, nodding toward the puppy. The man smiled. I think so too. They stood there until the sky dimmed. Until the air cooled just enough to remind them the day was ending. Back inside, the house welcomed them gently. Lights clicked on. Soft yellow pools pushing away the shadows. The puppy wandered to the rug again. Turn once. Then lay down. Comfortable. Certain. Dinner was simple again. No one rushed. No one filled the silence just to avoid it. At one point, Ethan looked up and realized something. The quiet didn't feel empty anymore. It felt full. After dinner, his father knelt near the puppy. Hey, he said softly. I think it's time we stopped calling you the puppy. The puppy lifted his head. Ears forward. Listening. Ethan leaned closer. You've been patient, his father continued. Waiting for us to catch up. The man exhaled slowly. I think your name is Scout. The word rested in the air. Scout. The puppy blinked. Then. His tail moved. Once. Then again. Not wild. Not excited. Just certain. Ethan smiled. That fits, he said. Scout. A name for someone who finds the way first. Then waits. That night, Scout didn't sleep in the hallway. He followed the man into his room. Paused. Looked back once. As if asking permission. The man nodded. It's okay, he said. You can stay. Scout circled once at the foot of the bed. Then lay down. His breathing deepened quickly. Easy. Trusting. The man lay awake longer. His hand rested near the edge of the bed, fingers loose. Every now and then, he felt the warmth of Scout's presence. Solid. Real. He closed his eyes. And for the first time in years, sleep didn't feel like escape. Morning came quietly again. Sunlight slipped through the curtains. Scout stretched. Long and unhurried. Then lifted his head. Ethan laughed from the doorway. Guess he's officially family now. Scout's tail moved. The man sat up. Smiling. I think he always was, he said. Breakfast followed. Ordinary. Coffee brewed. Toast popped. Life resumed. But something fundamental had shifted. Not loudly. Not visibly. Just deeply. Scout moved through the house with ease now. Like he knew the rhythm. Where to pause. Where to sit. When to simply be present. And the house responded. The air felt warmer. The quiet felt kinder. Later that afternoon, Ethan caught his father standing by the photo shelf again. The picture of Ranger sat there. Not hidden. Not painful. Just honored. Scout sat at his feet. Looking up. Not confused. Not competing. The man rested a hand on Scout's head. You didn't come to replace him, he whispered. You came to remind me. Scout leaned into the touch. And in that small moment, so simple it almost went unnoticed, healing completed its quiet work. Not as a finish line, but as a beginning. Because sometimes, the most important journeys aren't about going back. They're about letting love arrive again. In a new shape. At exactly the right time.